Right, so if you're an MK fan and you've been active on Twitter, YouTube, wait, it's X, isn't it? Twitter, YouTube, Reddit, or anywhere on social media, you're no doubt of being bombarded with, oh my God, MK1 dead, MK1 is dying, blah, blah, blah. People pointing at fingers at each other, blaming one another for the perceived downfall of the game. Everyone's just on one, basically. And it's gotten to a point where I think it's just sad. And I'm not talking sad like watching Simba see Mufasa being dead after being trampeded on. I'm talking about like, this is sad as in I'm just disappointed in you kind of way. So how did MK get to this point in only 4 months, and what is the cause? Personally, I believe it's the fault of everyone involved. The game itself, NRS and Warner Bros, the casual community and the competitive community, they're all just poisoning the well for each other and against each other. And I'm going to break it down into sections and go over my talking points individually. So the first point I'll go over that I think is probably the easiest one to talk about is the game itself. And obviously at the minute, we're still getting desync issues left, right and center. And I don't think that's any good for anyone who wants to play the game online. You literally can't play the game online. It's just it's not a good look really, is it? And if a player like me doesn't want to play online for these kind of issues, and I play Mortal Kombat a lot. If you're on the channel, you probably know that I play Mortal Kombat a lot. People that don't play Mortal Kombat a lot, most likely will just not put up with it. All right, okay, that's fair. And on top of that, things like invasions, I don't see how that's going to have any sort of pull to the casual player that don't go online. So the competitive ones that want to go online to play against people, a lot of the times are getting desynced, and the casual players, they haven't got anything else to do other than play invasions. So there needs to be something else added there, as well as fixing the online. On top of that, ranked, even if you do fix the online, is no longer a competitive environment. So the whole point of a rank mode in pretty much any game is to make it competitive, is it not? And what they did by adding the Wi-Fi filter, which isn't really a Wi-Fi filter, it's more of a you can just decline any map sort of filter. What they did there is made it so that anybody can cherry pick. So you're not even getting matched up against players on your level. You just get matched up against players that are willing to fight you. And that's a big difference. Because I've seen this amongst other top players. It's not just me. I know I've seen this happen in like Sikander's stream. I've seen this happen in Tekken Master's stream. I've seen this happen in Hayate's stream. People are deliberately ducking people because they know who they're fighting against and they don't want to play against them. So how is there any sort of competition in the rank mode? As well as the fact that it's first to 2, so it doesn't even simulate the Pro Tour that is being endorsed by the company that this game is made by. So you got a rank mode we can cherry pick, and it's not even simulating a tournament environment. I don't think that's good. And on top of that, the netcodes just, it seems like a downgrade from MK11 in general. And in King of the Hill, it's definitely worse. But yeah, that one, I can't really comment on it. I don't work in netcode, though. I don't understand why or how it could be worse like that. But it's just a bunch of problems culminating together to make it a bigger problem. And the thing is, it's not even like Mortal Kombat players don't like the game. The game is all right. It's better than MK11. Like MK11, they took whatever they had there and just upped it, made it more interesting. I think with the addition of Chameleon, they're showing that they know that they can do something to send it in the right direction. I think they need to, I've been saying this for a long time, but I think they need to make the assists just more wild. And we can see with Chameleon, who is a wild assist. Pretty much everyone loves Chameleon right now. I'm not sure if this is going to turn into a Cyrax scenario, you know, where everybody's playing Chameleon and then in like a week or two, everyone just hates on Chameleon. But it is making more of the characters be able to do more interesting things. So ideally, I'll just make the other assists on like that level of good. That would be a more ideal way. It would add replayability. It would add a bit of diversity in what's going on as well. Because ain't anybody trying to sit there and just get Storm Cell, cane balled for eternity by Raiden. Like, it's add something else of that level of strength for other assists, basically. Now, you will hear some people like the Fates of the World, various casuals will say, yeah, they don't like the cameo system, should have been a 1v1, whatever. But I think majority of what I've seen, and this is obviously just anecdotal, but the majority of what I've seen when it comes to the commenting on Mortal Kombat 1 is that the gameplay is good and everything else around it is what is causing it to have these issues, which I think is a fair point. And so that leads me on to my next section, which is about NetherRealm and Warner Bros. Right, so the gameplay, it'll do, it's good enough for the majority of people, it seems. They're still selling the game well. I think that Mortal Kombat's got that name. It's like Call of Duty. Like, you remember when Call of Duty went through that phase? I can't remember if it was Call of Duty Ghosts or something. They went through a phase where it was just like downtime for Call of Duty. Everything's going bad for Call of Duty. But people still bought it and people will still always buy it. I think that's what Mortal Kombat's like. Maybe this is just our like slump in MK. Maybe that's the moment. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that some of the stuff that is going on here is excusable. So you've got things like the desync issue, yeah? So when Quan Chi came out, the desync issue started, and that was over a month ago. And on the 20th of December, Ed Boon brought it up on Twitter, and he was saying, yeah, we see it, we see what's going on, and we're gonna fix it ASAP. And it's currently the 19th of January, a month later, over a month later since Quan Chi released, and the desync issue is still there. And I'm not sure if Quan's put some sorcery voodoo on the game, but he's basically just ruining it at this point, like with his release. And I was saying before, this is the kind of thing that would just make people not want to play. Why would you want to play if you can't even play the game? I think that's like a very fundamental part of any game, innit? You need to be able to actually do the thing that you got it for. They did attempt to fix it in a patch, but that patch effectively did nothing. And then they were still silent about it for a week before they said the same thing that Ed Boon said before. It was like, yeah, we see what's going on. We're trying to fix it ASAP again, but this is all we're getting. We're getting, yeah, we hear ya. We're going to try and do it ASAP, but you need to fix the game. Like, you can't even, people can't even play the game. Like, that's a massive fundamental issue. This issue is compounded by the lack of communication on all fronts. Only even the last couple of days have they mentioned anything about online Pro Tour events going on with the Liga Latina, and they're only just recently posting on Twitter again after their boycott, whatever they had fallen out with Elon Musk or something along those lines. And now the things that they're posting aren't even relevant to the things that their community are talking about. So like I'm saying about the desync thing, and they'll say, who would you pick in this matchup? It's like, come on, man, there's bigger things that need to be addressed. And yeah, it's just there needs to be better communication, really. Now, I think other developers are showing that this can be a thing. I don't understand why it can't be a thing. We've got multiple community managers and they're not talking to us. Whereas if you go over to Tekken, they're just always in touch with their community. Why? What happened to cause this? I don't understand why you can't. Like, why are we just like that ugly? Can we not be listened to, or are we just not? Are we just peasants or something? I don't know what it is. Like, why can't we be communicated with? It doesn't make any sense. And the other point I've got here is about no one's going to be happy with the amount of microtransactions that are being peddled through the game. So, like, skins for $10 and all that. But my stance on that is, if you don't want a skin, don't buy a skin. The skin doesn't change anything about the game. So that one's kind of a, yeah, I mean, I can understand why people don't like it, but at the same time, it's like Overwatch, you know? You don't need a skin to play a character in Overwatch. You just need the game. So I get both sides of the argument. But that also ties into a problem with the competitive side of the issue, because the way they're selling skins. So if you was around during MKX, you'll remember that they used to do a Sub-Zero skin. I think it was an Ermac one as well, but whatever. It was a Sub-Zero skin that sold for, I think it was $2 or $4 or something. It wasn't much, but what they did was they used the sales from that skin to fund multiple seasons of the Pro Tour. Well, what was then the Pro Tour, which was ESL. And that one skin put, I think it was more than $1 million's worth of budget into that the whole year, basically. ESL had 3 seasons off of one skin. And I think the problem with the whole microtransaction thing and the selling the skins for so much, and when you look at it from the competitor's side point of view, is that we're not worth a skin. And this isn't even just recently. We're not worth a skin over the last, well, since MKX. Like, I understand that, yeah, they could take all the profits for it, but they're going to be making money regardless. And I think that then has a knock-on effect. Like, the community doesn't feel valued by the creators of the game. Obviously, the creators of the game, they probably won't value us to that degree, because statistically we're like 0.0002% of their total sales. So we are insignificant if you're talking in terms of number. However, other games, you can see the love in the, like, between the producers, the developers, and their tournament scene. Like Capcom is not going to be making a return of 2 million on their pro scene, but they're also going to be making a lot of money off their other games as well. And I think same thing with Tekken. Like Tekken is you've been living under a rock if you haven't seen the things that they're doing for their game and their community lately. They're going like all in on it. And when you look at that compared to what's going on in the NRS scene, I wouldn't be surprised if anyone didn't think that the grass was greener on the other side. You know, it's not very hard to notice. And I think it literally just boils down to we're not worth one skin over however many years. And I don't know, but I don't believe that like to create one skin is such a drastic like request for anyone to make about this sort of thing. And then so we got no prize pool as a result for the Pro Tour, which is also another issue, right? Why is it called a Pro Tour when you make 30k for winning the tour? All right, bear in mind, it's not easy to win the Pro Tour. There are plenty of good players, plenty of world-class players, right? It's not easy to win the Pro Tour, and when you do, you get $30,000, right? And that's not first off, that's not guaranteed, and second off, is that really enough to be called pro? Like over a year, $30,000 to have to put that much effort in. Like, what is the incentive there for someone who isn't already established? So let's just assume that I don't know, Sonic Fox or Ninja Killer win the Pro Tour. What reason would anybody else have to try and win that when the only gain they'll get from it is 30k, right? And the amount, the effort doesn't. Well, it's just not pro at that point. It's just not. Yeah, I think that's just me arguing semantics though. But regardless of me arguing semantics, it is definitely having an effect, not even on the people that would, like the so-called hopefuls, right? Even the ones that are established, like they're not even that interested in competing just for the sake of the lack of return. Like you got Tweedy, he's openly said, yeah, he ain't gonna bother going to any of these tournaments because he'd rather just sit and stream and do YouTube, which makes sense. Hayate, same thing. Like there's just not enough incentive, and even without the incentive, it's just not enough love being put into the scene or communication or whatever. Like we've just been told, okay, you got this tour, there's 4 events, which is barely anything. There's 4 events, one of them was meant to be like announced by now, so it hasn't been announced. Again, another communication issue. And so we've already gone through 2 events. We don't know where or when the third one is, and the last one's Combo Breaker. It's not really that much of a tour, and then it's got the rest of it online. I don't see it. It's just not looking good like that. When you compare it to the old ESL format, or even the MK11 format was better than this one, I think. It's not a good game to be competitive in at the minute. I think your best bet, if you want to be like in tournaments and playing people for money and whatnot, better off just doing it online, playing in like Rips Arena or Champions of the Realms or the Coliseum, all those sort of things, because then you ain't got to move and spend all this money on traveling just to win back like next to no money. That's another point. Like even if you place well at these events, you're not really getting paid out much. Even like below first, even first ain't that great, but below first, it's kind of like you've basically just made up your travel expenses and whatever you needed to go to the event. Play on the online tournament if you're so like inclined to compete. Overall, I think the competitive side of the community are getting it the worst because they're the most dedicated, and they're getting it the worst from actually all sides of the argument as well. They're getting it the worst from the game because the game don't work, and they're dedicated enough to be on there to try and get it to work. They're getting it the most from NetherRealm. It's just a matter of time invested in, isn't it? Time invested in getting all the issues out, sort of thing. And they're the ones that are going to stick with it, and they're the ones that are going to just suffer the most as a result, really. And they're also the ones getting the most stick from the casual content creator side of things, which is what I'll go into next. By the time you finish listening to this section, you'll be like, that is some of the dumbest stuff I've ever heard. But I might as well bring it up because it's still somewhat relevant, I think. So lately, like I was saying at the beginning, if you go on YouTube, there's just mountains and mountains of videos people talk about, oh yeah, MK1 is dying, blah, 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 blah. But what this has caused to happen is there's now like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like little factions or like segments of the internet that are, well, it's not even factions or segments of the internet. It's just like one group of people on the internet that are now just like trying to bite out at anybody that they see of any sort of notoriety in the MK community, and they're just their whole thing is just calling them out, calling them, well, they'll call them shills, they'll call them sellouts, so whatever. Like if you're good at the game, here's the thing, right? If you're good at the game, you're a shill. If you like the game, you're a shill. If you do anything on Mortal Kombat without every single time you do anything calling them out, you're a shill. And I think this whole thing is, this is the thing I'm disappointed in as well. It's like, this is the saddest. Like, take yourself out of the scenario, take yourself out and looking. This is just pathetic. Like, it's just pathetic. Madness, really. Like, why do you even care? What do you think? Like, okay, so I know ketchup and mustard. I'm just going all over the place here, but like, I know ketchup and mustard, right? And I've heard plenty of videos of people just slagging them off for no reason, saying, "Oh yeah, they must be getting all these handouts, and they're like under Warner Bros. Boot, and like they're doing all this for." They don't get anything. Like, they don't get anything from Warner Bros. Or like you're saying. On the thing that here's the thing I'll hear commonly. It's like, oh yeah, you guys won't say anything about Mortal Kombat because you're getting free handouts and free trips and free copies of the game. Right, first off, free copy of the game. If you look at Ketchup and Mustard's YouTube channel, they've got multiple hundreds of thousands of subscribers, right? And I'm pretty sure a copy of Mortal Kombat is not gonna set them back any sort of like significant amount for them to have to worry about. Yeah, 195,000 subscribers. So even if they got the game for free from Warner Brothers, don't think that matters, because it's not like they're gonna be saying all, like, singing the praises, which, to be fair, many times Mustard and Ketchup have both criticised things that are wrong with the game. They're not above doing that. They're not gonna not do that, but they are true Mortal Kombat fans. They are the realest Mortal Kombat fans probably of all time, them two. So I don't think it's fair to say, oh yeah, they're shouldn't. They love the franchise. They truly love Mortal Kombat, and they're not getting these handouts or whatever. And okay, let's take it to an alternate universe. Let's say that they are getting handouts and they are getting flown to all these events. What difference would that actually make? Do you really think that the voice of Ketchup and Mustard, or who else are we saying? They've been saying Molly B, Losty Girl, Super, Brusque Poet, and all these people, they're still not enough collectively to sway the sales of NetherRealm. So NetherRealm really wouldn't care what's being said by these people. They just doesn't make any sense for them to care, realistically. And yet people will still just go on blaming. I don't understand the connection. I don't understand the correlation between game being bad and Ketchup and Mustard being responsible for it. It doesn't make any sense. It's like, or like they'll even say the same thing about me. Like, when clearly, if you even like took 5 minutes to go into my stream, you'd see what I'm about. You'd see that I'll just say, yeah, these things are us. Like, this is good, this is bad. I'll be, I think, at least reasonably fair about it. But this doesn't give you like the right. I mean, obviously, you got the right. Actually, you got the right to say whatever you want. It's your own YouTube channel. I just think it's in bad taste to just be cussing out everybody known. Like, they'll definitely cuss out Sonic Fox. That much is true. Like, all of them will cuss out Sonic Fox. For what? Because Sonic's good at the game and Ed Boon retweets him for whatever reason. That's another thing as well. Do you really think there's value in retweets? What kind of value do you think there is in a retweet? There is no value in a retweet. This is a common thing brought up by these channels. It's like, oh, you're getting all the retweets. They could retweet your channel and your channel would still be dead. There's no difference occurring from this sort of thing. The only reason these people are just going for these players, going at these players, is so that they can draw in an audience and then just like grow their own thing, which in turn is actually hypocritical. They need Mortal Kombat drama for their channels to grow, right? So I'll take Fate for an example, right? Fate will call everybody a shill, right? He's like, yeah, you're a shill, you're a shill, you're a shill. And then in his next breath, he will say, see Grand Blue, see Tekken, they're great games. I'll tell people to buy them. You're a shill. That doesn't make any sense. Like, that don't make no sense. It's a whole Yeah, and then that leads me back to my original point of take a step back and listen to how sad this whole thing sounds. We've got a bunch of grown men, some nearly 50, moaning about this game or whatever. If you don't like it, don't play it, don't talk about it, just leave it alone. It ain't going to affect you, and then it's all good, innit? People are capable of deciding what to do with their own money. Like, you're not some Robin Hood or whatever. Like, people have autonomy. They've got sentience. They're capable of making their own decisions. Like, if they don't like what they're seeing, then they don't like what they're seeing and they'll just leave, innit? And if they do, they'll stay. I just don't think the way that this is being dealt with is correct, because really what you need is a stronger connection between the casual and competitive base. That's how you grow. Like, if you have a stronger connection between them, the casuals will stay around longer because they'll be more interested in what goes on with a bit more depth and a bit more like perception in the game, and the competitive scene grows. And then that in turn is a win. Oh, it's a win for both of them communities, and it could potentially lead to a win in relation to Warner Brothers putting more love into the game. Like, just even if it's not prize pools or whatever, they could just pay it more attention. Like, I think that's something that needs to happen for this all to grow, really. Right, so my closing thoughts here then are Mortal Kombat ain't dying, it's just not delivering. I think that's probably what it is, because it's a franchise like Call of Duty. You can't just, it won't just end off of one bad game. It's not the way it's gonna work. It's still selling ridiculous. So Warner Brothers and NetherRealm are probably laughing right now about that. So that don't really matter so much. I think the community on the competitive side is probably taking the biggest hit, and that's from all directions. Like I said, like Warner Brothers lack of communication, the casual side saying, like, blaming competitive side for the way the game is, and then the casual side are just making baseless accusations that have no proof. They never have any proof to what they're saying, because there is no proof. I think for this to improve, it'd have to be a matter of I don't know. They need NetherRealm, first of all, need to fix the game. They need to fix the desync issue, and then after that, there needs to be some sort of way of bridging the gap between the competitive and casual audiences. Again, I think that's probably doable with the help of NetherRealm, but would that happen? I don't know. I don't know what their whole way of thinking is. The side of the competition at the minute is a bit confusing. Yeah, it ain't in its best state. That's probably the fairest point I could make there. It's not, Mortal Kombat isn't in its best state that it's been. There have been better times. There have also been worse times, but there have definitely been better times within recent history. So it makes sense for people to be kind of disappointed. It will probably end up being better in the near future. And that the problem with that is it's going to be too late, isn't it? But this is like a NetherRealm cycle sort of thing. They did that in MKX. Like, it started off terrible netcode, blah blah blah, and then they buffed the netcode, buffed all these characters, and the game was like really good. But that took them a while to do. So that seems to be like kind of what's going on here. It's starting off a bit wonky, and they said they're gonna add all these bits in it later. Game is probably just unfinished or something. I don't know. But does that mean that MKX was also unfinished? I don't know. It just, yeah, it's a long path to correction when it could have been. Like, some of the things that should have been there were in MK11, so it doesn't even make sense why they weren't in there. But really, yeah, MK, it's not dying. It's not dying. However, it does have competition as well. Like the Tekken and Street Fighter, that's definite competition. Like, all the issues going on with MK are happening around at the same time that all the good stuff is happening with Tekken. So you got people like all sorts of players from all sorts of games that are going to migrate to Tekken. You know, obligatory play the new game for 2 weeks. I'm going to do that. Might play it for more than 2 weeks. You never know, because I'm also a Tekken fanboy. So yeah, expect some Tekken happenings on this channel and Twitch as well in the future. I'm about to do wavy into all sorts. Anything else to say? No, I think that's it. Tekken's coming soon. I'll be on that. MK, hopefully they fix it soon. People just need to chill out, take a step back, listen to how... I think it's important to be self-aware, right? You need to take a step back sometimes and realize if you're going too far into being a massive loser, all right? And come on now, a lot of us are massive losers. You need to take a step back and just realize when you're going too far with it. Like, just don't let it go too far. Thank you for listening. I'm rambling. This is the end of the video. Subscribe.